Android and his NOUGAT. Microsoft may be moving to a subscription-based model for Windows, and it looks like we have our first press renders of the Galaxy Note 7. What's going on, guys? My name is Evan, and oh boy, do we have a lot to talk about.
May the wind always be at your back, and the sun always upon your face.
Galaxy Note 7 just leaked out in official press renders, and this thing is gorgeous. First and foremost, check out the size of the display. That's right, we're looking at our first dual-edge Note device. It also looks like there won't be any non-edge variant sold alongside it, which would mark the first time that Samsung releases an edge device by itself. Colors include black onyx, silver titanium, and the new one, blue coral. I'm personally digging the blue color, but it might just be because we've seen the other ones before. After previously leaking the specs for the rumored HTC-built Nexus 5, codenamed Sailfish, Android Police has obtained the alleged spec sheet for its rumored larger Nexus 6 2016 sibling. The phone is supposedly codenamed Marlin and is also said to be built by HTC. Specs include a quad-core Qualcomm processor of unknown variety, a 5.5-inch Quad HD AMOLED display, a USB-C port, a 12-megapixel rear-facing camera, coupled with an 8-megapixel front-facing camera, a rear-mounted fingerprint scanner, 4 gigs of RAM, a 3450 mAh battery, 32 to 128 gigs of storage,
Bluetooth 4.2,
and unfortunately, bottom-firing speakers. Google also confirmed that Android N is going to be officially known as Android Nougat when it's released. This comes at the disappointment of many who were hoping for Android Nutella or Android Neapolitan, which would fit more closely with Google's new Android slogan of "Be together, not the same." And unfortunately, the Android Nougat statue is equally disappointing, as has been the trend with Google's recent Android statues. I find it kind of ironic that when Google redesigned Android with Lollipop, they also began to usher in a new design aesthetic for their statues. But while everyone seemed to love the design changes in Lollipop, everyone seems to hate the new designs of the statues. Smaller Android-related news: Samsung has begun selling its flagship Galaxy devices as unlocked models in the US, starting with the Galaxy S7 and S7 Edge. This is frankly something that should have happened a long time ago, as Samsung has been the largest Android manufacturer for quite some time now. So it's not like US carriers are going to refuse to stock Samsung phones on their shelves if Samsung doesn't sell directly through them and only through them. In fact, Motorola and HTC have been selling unlocked versions of their phones for quite some time now, and they're much smaller players in the Android market, at least in the US. Hopefully there will also be an unlocked variant of the Note 7 when Samsung announces that in August. But while Samsung seems to have everything going for it, things aren't going so well for LG and Sony. LG just announced that it's firing several major executives from its mobile division, and they did not sugarcoat the reason why. In a statement to the Korean Times, LG had this to say: "Friday's announcement is because LG Electronics' latest flagship G5 smartphone failed to generate sales." Wow, that's pretty harsh. It sounds like LG is going out of their way to shame its now former executives, as well as pretty much everyone who worked on the G5. The LG G5 was LG's attempt at something new and innovative, with a focus on modularity. Unfortunately, however, in my opinion, and the opinions of most reviewers in the tech industry, the idea was poorly executed. People complained about the prices of the modules, which LG called friends, as well as the fact that LG seemed to cut corners with the phone itself in order to make the modularity possible. I personally think LG is confused. They need to get back to their bread and butter, which isn't simplicity or user-friendliness, but cold, hard functionality. Just look at the LG V10. It was an absolute hit last year when it launched because of how functional it was. It had a giant 6-inch display, a tiny secondary display at the top, a ruggedized build, and pretty much as many manual camera settings as you'll find in a DSLR. But with the G5, which released just a few months later, pretty much abandoned all of that, and now LG's in big trouble. Meanwhile, Sony announced on the same day that it plans to defocus its mobile business in some of the biggest smartphone markets in the world, including Brazil, India, China, and last but not least, the US. This news comes at an especially disappointing time, as Sony had previously promised that its flagship X line would be coming to the US this summer, which still hasn't happened yet. Considering that, as well as the fact that you couldn't even get Sony's last flagship smartphone, the Z5, through any US carrier, it's hard to imagine how much more defocused Sony's presence in the US could possibly get. In an attempt to compete with T-Mobile Tuesdays and convince customers that they aren't as evil as T-Mobile says they are, AT&T has just announced Ticket Tuesdays. Ticket Tuesdays will allow each eligible AT&T customer to get a free movie ticket through the carrier, as long as they were buying one in the first place. So no, it's not exactly free unlike T-Mobile Tuesdays, and it's not even a true buy one get one free deal, as you have to pay an additional $1.50 convenience fee on top of the first movie ticket in order to get the second one for free. If you're not very excited anymore, bear in mind this is AT&T we're talking about. Hashtag Magenta for the win. Now let's talk about Apple for a minute. The Wall Street Journal reports that Apple is in talks to possibly acquire Tidal, Jay-Z's music streaming service, in order to grow out its own service, Apple Music. However, this is far from confirmed, as WSJ says these talks are merely exploratory and quote-unquote may not result in a deal. Moving on to the Microsoft side of things. Windows 10 insiders just got another preview build of the upcoming anniversary update for the operating system. Of note, however, is a discovery of a file named upgrade subscription, with speculation abounding that Microsoft may be planning to begin offering Windows to users via a yearly paid subscription model similar to Office 365. However, Microsoft pretty much flat out denied this rumor in a statement, closing with no comment. One positive rumor from the Redmond-based company is that we may be seeing an all-in-one Surface device launching later this year, according to DigiTimes. DigiTimes also states that we'll be getting a second-generation Surface Book, but it's been delayed until early 2017 due to Intel having shipment problems with its new Kaby Lake processors. Now, as someone who just bought a desktop PC, I would feel a little snubbed if this rumor turned out to be true, but at the same time, I'm really excited to see what Microsoft's vision for the all-in-one PC would be, and see how it compares to Apple's already established iMac lineup. I'm really looking forward to the next Surface Book 2 to see if it solved the problems of the first Surface Book, which I did love, but there were some issues with it. Now let's talk about Xbox. This isn't a rumor about the future of Xbox so much as a rumor about what happened in the past. In an interview between IGN and Xbox co-creator Ed Fries shared some interesting details about the Xbox division's early struggles, and one particularly juicy one involving none other than the man himself, Bill Gates. Apparently Gates wasn't thrilled with Microsoft getting into the entertainment industry, calling the Xbox project a bleeping insult to everything I've done at this company. However, Gates and Steve Ballmer finally came around to the idea when the would-be Xbox team reminded them that Sony had success with the launch of the original PlayStation and was already in the process of building the next one, the PlayStation 2. I guess we need to thank Sony for the fact that the Xbox even exists, because without them it looks like it might not have. If you guys like this video, please take a second to leave a like, comment, share it with your friends, and subscribe to this channel for more tech news and reviews. Thank you very much, and you guys have a great weekend.